one double crosses Lord Zedd and live!
Stop it, it tickles.
Any kid who grew up in the 90s remembers this movie. This movie played endlessly in our VCR machines. Although not strictly canon to the Power Rangers universe, this movie cemented itself as an action-packed fun movie that also had a very memorable villain. On top of that, it was basically the Tommy show, as Tommy got almost all the great moments. However, there was one scene that always made me angry as a kid. This was the scene that nerfed Lord Zedd and made Rita look like nothing. Hey guys, this is Jerry. As a kid, I watched this movie at least 100 times. 30 years later, I'm finally ready to talk about the scene that always bugged me even as a kid. So the scene starts after Ivan Ooze destroys the command center of the Power Rangers. Unfortunately, Rita and Lord Zedd are not happy that the Power Rangers slipped away. So as Ivan Ooze returns to the headquarters of the bad guys, Rita starts cursing him out.
You egg-sucking purple pinhead! The Rangers are going after the great power! I thought you said this guy was the master of disaster. He's nothing but a slime-infested jelly donut!
As kids, seeing Rita get her mouth shut was kind of funny, right? A lot of us laughed. I personally, as a kid, loved Rita's sassiness, so that scene actually made me sad. I'm one of her defining characters, and you take it away from her.
Finally, someone shut her up!
Wow!
Your feebleness is staggering.
You obviously need a vacation. I think circumstances force us to choose a new leader. And I pick me.
Paul Freeman obviously had an accent that's different from the American accent. So as a kid, I never understood what he said here. I thought he said, it's time to choose a new Rita. He's telling Lord Zedd, okay, you need to find a better wife. For the 3 years that I watched this movie nonstop as a kid, I always thought he said, you have to choose a new Rita. It wasn't until I watched this so many years later as an adult that I realized he said, it's time to choose a new leader. Funny what you as a kid remember, what you as a kid hear. I don't mind admitting I had such a huge crush on Rita as a kid. That's why I heard Rita. Another reason I was unhappy that she got nerfed in this movie.
Who does this clown think he's dealing with?
The boogeyman is taking over.
No one double crosses Lord Zedd and live!
Stop it, it tickles.
I get that they have to make Ivan Ooze an extremely formidable villain, but come on, that's just too easy. This is Lord Zedd, man. He couldn't put up more of a fight? And on top of that, what's Rita doing? Yes, Rita got her hand shocked a little, but that puts her out of commission. This is Rita. Before Lord Zedd even came along, Rita was the original evil witch lady. She was the original bad person. You can't just do this to us Ranger fans.
My turn.
Way to go, Bonehead! It's getting so you can't trust anyone in this galaxy.
Oh, I love snow globes.
And then this part always bugged me too. They didn't try their magical powers, their whatever, to try to break out of this little trap, this little snow globe. You should have at least told anyone watching that they tried, but they were stopped somehow. Felt too easy, even as a kid, for Ivan Ooze just to take over. Even as a kid, it was not believable because we had spent seasons with Rita and Lord Zedd. We knew they were very powerful, evil people. And Ivan Ooze just freaking gets rid of them in a few seconds. That's just too nerfed. They nerfed the OG bad guys too bad just for this one movie villain, and he doesn't come back again. Maybe it would have been different if this person stayed on as a villain for the TV show or something, but he was just the villain for this movie. So this was the scene that bugged me, guys. What do you guys think as an adult and as a kid? First of all, did you find the scene funny, which most of us did, but also did you find this scene a mess? Because to promote this Ivan Ooze character, who by the way was very well acted, they nerfed the bad guy so bad. After Lord Zedd failed with his attack, why couldn't Rita try something? Just because she had her hand shocked? Rita's entire role in this movie was just to talk and flirt with Ivan Ooze. She didn't do anything.
He's so handsome.
Why, thank you.
Finally, a real man.
That's not the bad lady. That's not the epic bad lady we all know as kids from the Power Ranger TV show. I want to give a big shout out to Mighty Morphin Conspiracy Theories. This channel inspired me to make this video because he also talked about this movie, but his angle is more about how it just promoted Tommy and it nerfed the other Rangers. So I wanted to talk about the bad guys. I created this channel to talk about movies. Let's talk about movies, guys. When the Power Rangers movie first came out in the 90s, for us kids, it was a dream come true. All the Power Rangers and all the villains on the big screen. However, very quickly, we took a closer look and saw someone we didn't recognize. Who is this guy? If you watched until the end credits, or you looked this movie up later as an adult, you would have discovered that this character's name is Mordant, or Mordant. But as kids, we were so confused. We've never seen him in the TV show before.
I'm with her. I'm hungry.
That's because you're a pig.
Hi, my name is Jerry. Welcome to the channel. And I found a previous version of the script that actually explains this Mordant character. In the scene where Rita and Zedd untrap Ivan Ooze, they introduce Mordant officially. So, Rita says to Goldar, "Where did you find this rabbit little rodent anyways?" Here's what Goldar says. "Mordant's my second cousin 3 times removed on my mother's side. He's just visiting for the summer." There you go. All it took was a little line of exposition and all of us would have been like, oh, okay, all right, he's just a visiting villain for the movie. Beyond that, Mordant actually had a bigger role in prior versions of the script. You see, when the Rangers go to try to find their new powers, Mordant actually accompanies the bird villains and he's there to witness Dulcea beating the bird villains up. On top of that, and humorously, in the final act, when Ivan Ooze fuses with his machines and grabs the tower and Goldar flies off, Mordant was actually with him in the original script, and Mordant clings to Goldar's legs as Goldar flies away, adding extra humor. But for some reason, in the final version of the script, in the movie that we as kids saw, Mordant didn't have those parts, and Mordant mysteriously disappeared from the 3rd act. So what do you guys think? Would you have preferred Mordant to be introduced better and him to have played a bigger role in the Power Rangers movie? What was your initial reaction when you saw this pig rat-like villain that you've never seen before in the movie? Rita Repulsa is known in the Power Rangers franchise as a very sassy, bombastic, loud villain.
What do I care about some stupid egg?
This is no ordinary egg.
Well, I say we hard-boil that thing. You spent 2,000 years looking for a tub of snot?
In the Power Rangers movie, she gets her comeuppance when Ivan Ooze slimes her mouth shut.
I thought you said this guy was the master of disaster. He's nothing but a slime-infested jelly donut.
She doesn't seem to learn her lesson at first, as she's still trying to talk through the slime. And later on, in the snow globe, she's still talking very loudly.
Don't listen to that purple booger! Don't you dare betray me! Well, if it isn't that double-dealing doughhead! Go Ranger! Go Ranger! Go Ranger!
However, did you notice this Easter egg in the post-credit scene?
I am King Goldar, the ruler of the universe.
If you didn't notice it, let me point it out. Rita is talking at a volume where she can't even be heard anymore. Because the camera's far away from Rita, it's implied that Rita's volume can't get captured by the camera that far. So Rita, by the end of the movie, has some growth. She finally learns to talk at a normal inside voice. What do you guys think about this Easter egg? Do you think this was intended, or do you think this was just accidental, as in they just didn't have time to get the actress to play Rita to put some dialogue in? What do you guys think? Do you like quiet Rita, or do you like loud Rita, or do you like muffled Rita, for lack of a better word? Let me know in the comments, guys. Power Ranger fan for life. Also, guys, in a previous version of the script, Rita and Zedd do punish Mordant and Goldar. So if you ever wondered what happened, it was covered in the previous version of the script. Lord Zedd and Rita have a very interesting villain relationship. Whatever the case, it is implied in the TV show that there is love between them. In the Power Rangers movie, Zedd delights in the fact that Ivan slimes Rita's mouth shut.
He's nothing but a slime-infested jelly donut.
Finally, someone shut her up.
However, in a previous version of the script, I think Zedd responds more appropriately. In a previous version of the script, this is how Zedd reacts. "How dare you," he says to Ivan Ooze. "Nobody shuts up Rita but me." I think that line in itself defines Rita and Zedd's relationship. There's definitely some villainy involved, but there is love, and Zedd's also willing to defend Rita's honor. After all, Ivan Ooze just slimed his wife's face. I think out of all the lines that were cut out of the final movie, this line would have made it much better. In fact, maybe it could have been a line after Zedd delights in his wife's mouth being shut. At first he's happy, then he realizes, wait a minute, you're trying to shut up my wife? Hey, who are you? So what do you guys think? Should they have gone with this line? Should they have combined this line with the line that made it into the movie? Or did you like the movie as is with Zedd just expressing delight? Let us know what your thought is. My opinion, they definitely needed this line about how Zedd's the one to shut up Rita, and if a compromise, put it with Zedd's line in the movie. Also, a previous version of the script also had a great moment where it showed that after being in the snow globe for a few days, Zedd and Rita were actually buried in snow, which didn't make it in the movie. In the movie, they were always standing without much snow around them, but it would make sense for them to be buried in the snow after being trapped in the snow globe for so long. To people who are involved in the making of the movie, I would love to interview you guys. What happened? Why did certain great things not make it into the movie? What were some of the behind the scenes? I would love to know.
Zordon!
We millennials watched this movie at least 100 times, if not 1,000 times. It was probably my second or third time watching this when I started finding something wrong with this portrayal of Zordon. Zordon is supposed to be an otherworldly mentor to the Rangers. What is this? What is this? I remember the second or third time I watched this movie, a thought came to my mind. If a man were living in this tube thing, how does he go to the bathroom? Again, I'm a little kid. That's what little kids think, right? But a little kid in me realized the flaw in this character design. How does a guy like this fit in the tube? How is he living in the tube and surviving? It makes no sense. And I get it, by putting Zordon in a robe, you're probably implying that he's some kind of otherworldly wizard-like character. I really wish the screenwriters, the set designers, the costume people, they really used their imaginations more. Because a lot of us kids thought of Zordon as more. He was other dimensional. He was made up of energy. He had all these other features. He wasn't just some wizard character with a little paler skin and a robe and bald. On top of this, let's look at how Ivan Ooze just sort of walked and waltzed into the command center. I remember even as a kid thinking, if it were that easy for Ivan Ooze to get into the command center, why didn't Rita and Lord Zedd do it a long time ago? If you guys remember, Tommy's Green Ranger arc involved Rita turning him evil so that way she could use Tommy to destroy the command center. Think about the lengths that Rita schemed to get access to the command center. All that's moot now because Ivan Ooze can just slime his way into the command center. From my understanding, you need a power coin or you need the shields to be lowered. You can't just walk in. Ultimately, this episode goes full circle to the first episode I ever made on the Power Rangers movie. They really nerfed Rita and Lord Zedd. They really made Ivan Ooze too conveniently powerful.
Let me go, Big Bird!
The first Pink Ranger, aka Kimberly Hart, was many young kids' crushes when she first appeared on the Power Rangers. Not only was she easy on the eyes, but she was also a very capable ranger and a capable, assertive person. However, in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, they upped the damsel in distress moments for Kimberly, and to a smaller extent, Aisha too. One moment that I remember still this day is her calling for Tommy. Not only was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie trying to promote Tommy, it did it at the expense often of Kimberly.
Here comes that cute little Pink Ranger to the rescue.
Oh, you think she's cute too, huh?
What were the writers thinking? Most of us kids who watched the movie also watched the show. We knew that Kimberly was very capable. So beyond all the other unbelievable moments that I've highlighted in past videos, the fact that Kimberly was not as capable in the movies definitely made me a little angry. That being said though, for those of you who've seen the series, you know I never watched the show for Kimberly, right? For me, it was Rita, and later on when Kat joined the show, it was Kat. But I can only imagine, to those hardcore fans of Kimberly, you guys probably didn't like how she was portrayed in this movie. So what do you guys think? Who were you fans of in the movie? And to hardcore fans of Kimberly, did you like how she was portrayed in this movie? I don't think any of us kids watching the Power Rangers movie minded this character, but what was her deal? It felt like everything about this character was rushed, whether some stuff was cut or refilmed or whatever. So today let's explore the Dulcea fiasco. In the script for the movie, Dulcea trains the Rangers, but all of that was gone. All of that was cut out. All we get in the final movie is the training's done. They've already become the Ninjetti. So what happened? There's never been an official explanation, but from interviews of various cast members, we could probably put together a little bit of a timeline. The character of Dulcea is played by Gabrielle Fitzpatrick. Somewhere along the line during filming, she got sick and needed to get surgery. So they recasted her with Mariska Hargitay. Many of you know her from Law & Order SVU, so this would have been one of Mariska Hargitay's first movie roles. A lot of the training montage, a lot of the stuff that didn't make it into the movie was likely filmed with Mariska Hargitay. Eventually, a few weeks later, Gabrielle Fitzpatrick recovered and came back, and then they let Mariska Hargitay go. So now we have some scenes with Gabrielle Fitzpatrick and some scenes with Mariska Hargitay. So likely they threw out all the scenes with Mariska Hargitay and then just finished whatever they could with Gabrielle Fitzpatrick. All in all, this entire fiasco with an actress getting sick, getting recasted, original actress coming back, it ate up a few months into the filmmaking. So the ultimate product, there was no training, there was a little bit of walking, and then a blowing of dust, and suddenly the Rangers have become the Ninjetti. Many of us as kids had no problems with this whole progression with Dulcea, but as adults, as we watch it again, we see holes in where they cut, because no journey, no work happened with the Rangers. They went from no powers to Ninjetti all of the sudden. The Dulcea part of the story originally was supposed to be so big that she actually had a sidekick named Snuggle. There's a picture of Mariska Hargitay with this anteater-like character. I won't tell you every single thing that was planned in the script. You guys could read the script yourself. The point is, Dulcea was originally supposed to be a very big part of the movie. In fact, there is even a point of dialogue that explains her actual relationship with Zordon.
Our leader Zordon got hurt.
Zordon!
Did you say Zordon?
You know Zordon?
So I give this question to you guys. Do you think the movie would have been better if we got to explore that segment with Dulcea way more? Or do you like it how it is? They get their Ninjetti powers, you don't really see them work for it, and then they encounter that dinosaur-like bones thing, and then they encounter those three creatures that they have to defeat.
Yes, a frog. Like the one you kiss to get a handsome prince.
Also, fun fact, the second Pink Ranger, Catherine, actually auditioned for this Dulcea role. So that's a question for you guys too. Who do you think would have been the best Dulcea? Do you like Gabrielle Fitzpatrick as she is? Would you have wanted Mariska Hargitay? Or do you think Catherine, Kat Sutherland I believe is her name, do you think she would have been the best?
Whoa, looks like somebody had a bad day.
What is it?
I think the question is, what was it?
Definitely not the welcoming committee, that's for sure.
He's so handsome.
Why, thank you.
Finally, a real man. He's nothing but a slime-infested jelly donut.
Julia Cortez played the movie version of Rita Repulsa. Probably the second time I watched the movie is when I was smitten with her portrayal of Rita. And for many years, I had the biggest crush on movie Rita. For so long, I thought I was the only one, until 2019 when I met my friend Giuliano, who also revealed that he crushed on movie Rita. After I started making my reflection series on the Power Rangers, I noticed a few more people revealed that Rita Repulsa Repulsa was also their childhood crush. So today let's explore why this movie Rita really appealed to some of us children. Now, the actress who played movie Rita was named Julia Cortez, and prior to this movie she played Cynthia in the movie The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. This movie in fact would be Julia Cortez's last acting role that we know of. Julia Cortez was around 40 at the time, so she was much younger than the original Rita, but also much older than the second Rita in the TV show. So she was the perfect middle ground between the two TV Ritas, age-wise. So what made this movie Rita such an appeal to certain kids? Some would say maybe it was the costume, because it was the movie, it had more budget for the costume. Some people might say that Julia Cortez channeled some of her Cynthia role into this Rita, but I'm going to go a little deeper, and I'm going to introduce a concept called the skip Oedipus complex. To understand the skip Oedipus complex, we first have to understand the original Oedipus complex from Freud. Now, the Oedipus complex evolved from an ancient Greek myth of Oedipus. In ancient Greek myth, Oedipus was destined to murder his father and marry his mother. So his father, the king of Thebes at the time, tried to make this not happen, but a prophecy is a prophecy. And eventually, this Oedipus character does murder his father and marry his mother. And the real tragedy of all this is that he didn't know about any of this until much later. Freud, in developing his psychoanalysis theory, took the myth of Oedipus and used it to describe certain behaviors of young boys. In Freud's mind, the most important character, the most important person in a young boy's life is his mother. A young boy will naturally have an attraction, an affinity / a love for his mother. He will also have a little bit of a competitive and maybe hostile relationship towards the father. And the relationship can go both ways. The father might treat the son as a little bit of a competition. Now, take a lot of the psychoanalysis with a grain of salt, and I'm sure there's a lot of literature nowadays in science to debunk a lot of it. Nevertheless, certain assumptions that Freud has of a little boy spending a lot of time with his mother, the closest woman in a little boy's life is often his mother, these are all true. Many boys have said some funny things like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to marry my mother. And then there's always the stories of when men marry their wives, there seems to be certain personality or maybe even physical resemblances to their mom in her younger days. So what is this word skip that I add to the beginning of the Oedipus complex? I'm borrowing a term from modern corporate world, which is a skip manager. A skip manager is the manager of your manager. You're skipping a level. So now that we applied this word skip to Oedipus complex, can you derive what it means? The skip Oedipus complex involves the grandma. And in this case, because you have two grandmas, it's whichever one you're closest with, or whichever one you spend more time with, or whichever one had a more dominating personality in your recollections as a kid. So how does the skip Oedipus complex relate to Rita Repulsa from the movie? Well, she was the perfect age to be just young enough to be sexy, but also old enough to be about your grandma's age. She was old enough to be a grandma, but also young enough to still be sexy. So she reminded every little boy of a sexy grandma. Before you think I'm completely crazy, think back on your childhood. Think about which grandma, if not both grandmas, that you interacted with. Or if you weren't close with your grandma, think about some ladies who were around Rita Repulsa's ages that you interacted with. Were there any, if they were slightly younger, they were probably very sexy? Think about that. Before you automatically dismiss what I say, think back to your childhood and go down memory lane and face this uncomfortable truth. So again, did you have someone in your life, most likely your grandma, when you were much younger, if not your grandma, someone else that might have fulfilled the role, who maybe around the time you were a very little kid, or maybe even before, she had some sassiness, she had some attitude, maybe she had some sex appeal? Get back to me in the comment section. I really look forward to what everyone says. So let me know what you think. Am I going way too deep and being too inspired by Freud? Was it just the costuming and the actress? Also, if you crushed on any other villain in the Power Rangers series, let me know. It would be interesting to break down why. Ultimately, despite all my analysis and nitpicks, this movie was awesome. It hit everything needed for a little kid to enjoy. And even as adults analyzing it, we notice more details. But beyond just the enjoyability of the movie for little kids, this movie represented a phase, a point, a period in popular culture, in history, in technology. This was before this. Most of us didn't even have the internet back then. Society was very much monocultural, meaning we all knew what was popular. We all knew what was not popular. We all knew what was trending. We all knew what was cool. This movie came at the perfect time for every little kid in the Western world to have at least heard of it, if not watched it, and enjoyed it. On top of it, geopolitically, America was a hyperpower in the mid-90s. Nothing could rival America. So this movie, with its uniquely American flavor, represented not just a time where technology was simpler, but ironically and contradictorily, the Western world was actually more connected by the things it celebrated and the things it consumed. Nowadays, with the saturation of content due to the millions of platforms and the millions of hours of things uploaded per second, nobody knows what's the popular thing. Because depending on what groups you're part of, what communities you're bubbled in, you have your own popular things that you think represent the world, but they don't. So besides nostalgia, and to some of us a little bit more than nostalgia because it might have affected our life trajectory, this movie is a perfect time capsule of a certain era of history. We're in a large language model AI digital age now. Gone are the days of the VCR and the TV show finales that get millions of views. But what can we learn from those days? What can we learn from the fact that every one of us has probably seen this Power Rangers movie, and every one of us has something to say about it, and every one of us liked at least parts of the movie? What can we do as a society to find common celebrations, common pieces of content to all consume, common points of connection that can bound us no matter what corner of the world we live in? These are all great questions to think about as the world goes through all these changes in the 2020s. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a great journey. I will have more video essays like this, so make sure to keep watching and make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you guys soon.